Thank you so much for being here. I'm here to discuss validation of speed-based classification of community ambulation post-stroke. GPS uncovers real-world performance. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me on the email address provided here. As you might know, stroke survivors consider the ability to get out and about as essential to their recovery. After discharge from formal rehabilitation, most of our patients post stroke regain satisfactory walking ability in their homes and in our clinics. However, when it comes to walking outside in the community, is when they are most dissatisfied, such as when they want to go for a grocery shopping trip, or for a fishing trip with their grandson, or to simply go out for a walk with their friend. According to the most widely used definition of community ambulation, mobility outside the home is a key factor that defines community ambulation. During this global pandemic, you must have realized how important it is to be able to walk freely outside of your home, as it is associated with improved social interactions, increased leisure activity, increased physical activity, improved self efficacy, and elevated mood. Unfortunately, the current interventions designed to improve community ambulation have largely been unsuccessful and lack objective quantification of community ambulation. The most widely used clinical predictor of community ambulation has been gait speed. In 1995, Perry et al. Conducted a seminal study where they interviewed 147 participants post stroke about their independence and ability to walk in the home and community using this walking activity questionnaire displayed over here. And then, through expert opinion of clinical physical therapist, Perry et al. Devised this classification system of community ambulation based on gait speed. According to this classification system, an individual who walks with a gait speed of more than zero point 0.8 meters per second will be classified as an unlimited community ambulator. However, there are certain limitations to this classification system, such as it is based on a self reported questionnaire and expert opinion, and hence has biases. Secondly, gait speed is a surrogate measure generally assessed in control settings and hence does not represent the myriad of factors that might impact community ambulation in a patient post stroke's real world environment. And finally, gait speed only represents a person's capacity and not their performance in their own environment. This classification system has been validated previously using accelerometers, and as you can see over here, unlimited community ambulators generally take more steps per day than limited community ambulators or household ambulators. But the question still remains as to where these steps are being taken. Are unlimited community ambulators taking most of these steps in their kitchen, their yard, or at a grocery store, or at the beach? And hence, to study the location of walking activity, we propose to incorporate the Global Positioning System technology in this project. The GPS technology has been validated and is reliable to measure outdoor location of community trips in individuals post stroke. The two previous studies that have utilized the GPS technology to examine community ambulation have concluded that stroke survivors take fewer community trips than healthy older adults in the first 2 to 6 months post stroke. Interestingly, in one of these studies, stroke survivors had a gait speed of 1 meter per second, through which they would be labeled as unlimited community ambulators. But as you can see, GPS is telling us a different story. And hence, the aim of this project is to validate the speed based classification system of limited community ambulators or lower functioning individuals and unlimited community ambulators or higher functioning individuals with home steps and community steps per day. We hypothesize that higher functioning individuals post stroke will demonstrate a greater number of daily steps, number of walking bouts per day, and steps per bout in their community than lower functioning individuals. And so, in this cross sectional study, we included 28 participants post stroke who were categorized as lower functioning or higher functioning according to their gait speed. Although not the primary aim of this study, we did include data from 10 healthy controls to serve as comparison for our participants post-stroke. We assessed gait speed on the Gait-Right instrumented walkway, and this gait speed was used to categorize our participants post-stroke into lower functioning or higher functioning groups, in addition to the healthy control group. Our participants wore the stepwatch activity monitor and a GlobalSat DG500 GPS device for 7 days, and this quantified their community ambulation. To ensure compliance with the study procedures, we provided our participants with a user manual that had written instructions on how to wear the devices and how to charge the GPS device. Additionally, we provided our participants with text reminders in the morning to wear the device and in the evening to charge the GPS device. So with the combination of these two devices, we could then differentiate between home steps and community steps for each individual participant in our study. For example, for a particular participant, we defined their home as their residential address and a 70-meter radius around their residential address. And so any steps that were taken inside of this virtual orange fence shown in this figure over here were classified as home steps. And any steps taken outside of this virtual fence were classified as community steps shown in blue footprints here. So with that, our outcome measures included average steps per day, categorized into home steps and community steps per day. We additionally looked at walking bouts per day, where the start of a walking bout was defined as at least 4 steps over a 10-second interval, and the end of that bout was defined as no steps over 10-second interval. And these walking bouts were again categorized into number of bouts taken in the home and community. We looked at length of these walking bouts as well, categorized into short, medium, and long distance walking bouts in the community only. Moving on to the results, in the graphs that will follow, we have depicted the lower functioning individuals in green, the higher functioning individuals in pink, and healthy controls in blue. Figure 1 shows the total steps per day in the 3 groups, and not surprisingly, healthy controls took significantly more total steps than lower or higher functioning individuals. Interestingly, our healthy controls, who had an average age of about 67 years, were much closer to the public health recommendation of taking 10,000 steps per day than our individuals post-stroke, who were at about 5,000 steps per day. Figure 2 then shows the steps taken in the home environment only in the 3 groups, and lower functioning individuals took significantly fewer steps at home than healthy controls. More interestingly, the lower and higher functioning individuals did not differ in the home steps per day despite of their differences in gait speed. Figure 3 then shows community steps per day, and as you can see, healthy controls took significantly more steps in the community than lower or higher functioning individuals post-stroke. Higher functioning individuals over here that are depicted in pink will be labeled as unlimited community ambulators, as all of them have a gait speed of more than 0.8 meters per second. But as you can see, they did not differ from lower functioning individuals in their average community steps per day at all. Figure 4 and 5 then show the total home bouts and community bouts per day in the 3 groups. And as a reminder, a bout is defined as at least 4 steps over a 10-second interval. And healthy controls took more home bouts and community bouts than lower or higher functioning individuals post-stroke. But again, lower and higher functioning individuals do not differ in their home bouts and community bouts per day despite of the difference in gait speed. Figures 6, 7, and 8 then show short, medium, and long distance walking bouts taken in the community for the 3 groups. In figure 6, you can see that the 3 groups do not differ in short bouts outside of home in the community. However, in figures 7 and 8, we see that healthy controls take significantly more number of medium and long distance walking bouts in the community as compared to individuals post-stroke. This highlights a strategy that may be used to improve community ambulation is that to improve medium and long distance walking bouts in the community for individuals with stroke. And again, we don't see a difference in lower and higher functioning individuals in short, medium, and long distance walking bouts in the community despite of their differences in gait speed. To conclude, higher and lower functioning individuals do not differ in their community ambulation despite of the difference in gait speed. And factors other than gait speed, such as personal or environmental, may influence their intention, ability, or opportunity to participate in community ambulation. As physical therapists, we may consider the incorporation of wearable sensors in our rehab assessment as they provide a more accurate estimate of post-stroke community ambulation. With that, I would like to thank our funding sources, the Malcolm Randall VA BRRC, the VARRND, and the Brooks PHHP collaboration. I would also like to thank my lab members, my dissertation committee, the Rehab Science Department at the University of Florida, and our lab engineer, Michael Monaldi. You can see a pre-COVID Halloween picture of our lab over here. And with that, I would like to thank you and please email me if you have any questions.